We'll let you do this. I've been putting this video off for a bit, but I wanted to kind of get my thoughts on 11th edition so far. I'm gonna make a bold statement that I think it's potentially gonna be one of the most balanced editions. Maybe not like right away, of course, but like in 6 months or a year, I think it's gonna be extraordinarily balanced. A big thing with that, I feel like GW has a lot of balance tools now in place. They've already introduced things like having very point costs if you ran like a half size unit or a full size unit. Like Gene Slayer's a good example. 75 for 5 or 140 for 10. You know, they want to encourage you to run the 10-man unit instead of multiple 5-man units for whatever reason for balance. And they already have that in place. They're going to bring warrior costs back in for certain upgrades. And that's great. There's a little disparity between some options out there, and that'll kind of help alleviate that. But it gives them another tool for balancing the game. Detachments have points now themselves. They can adjust these as they go. If a detachment's performing too well or not well enough, they can alter those quite easily. It feels like here. They're adding point stubs in, so as you take more of the same option, they start costing more and more. I'm not sure if it affects them all like retroactively. Like if you take two, they're all going to cost this. Or you take three, they're all going to cost this. If it's going to be their first one costs this, your second one costs this, and then your third one's going to cost this. That's just not progress. Or you take two, they're the original cost. You take a third one, this boy's going to cost you extra. So however they would go to work that, or they could do both, I guess. We'll see here on Wednesday. The field manual's coming out really soon. The updates to the app are coming really soon. So like Wednesday, we get like a lot of our questions answered. And I can really start brainstorming lists then when we have the point changes. But like so far, I'm really looking forward to it. This edition seems really interesting. Seems like a transition, even though it's like a 10.5 edition. That's not a bad thing. I don't think Fifth and the Sixth kind of felt like that, but I'll talk about that a little later because that wasn't a good thing. um, Trying to think, what other balance tools did they introduce? I mean, they update pretty regularly. They said that for the first couple months, they're probably going to update monthly as they need to balance out the game as, you know, plethora of people start playing the edition and start doing tournaments and start building lists. I mean, we're going to catch stuff that they never did in game testing. I mean, that's a given. It's a tabletop game. This is a video game. It's different, you know. It's dice based. I mean, you're going to come with some unique stuff. Is there any other major? I think that's most of it at this point here. Um, it'll be interesting to see if they do adjust any detachment point values as the edition goes. I mean, I can't imagine any of the 1.1s are so good that they're like, we better make this a two-pointer. But I could see some of the 3 and 2-pointers switching around depending, or especially like once a new codex rolls out for 11th edition. And maybe they make those attachments more in line with each other's power. But the ones that perform just a bit better are the threes, and then like as rules things change in the edition or other codexes release, they can adjust their value or their power as the meta changes, as the game changes and evolves, and other things get balanced. But we'll see. Um, but they have so many options now, even more so than before. And I mean, I wasn't here for ninth edition or 8th edition or 7th, so I can't speak for what happened in those editions. I know there's drastic change from 9th to 10th. I'm glad there's not drastic additions 10 and 11th. I do like the train changes though a lot. 45 layouts is absurd. I can't believe they gave us that many, to be honest. I thought there'd be a lot more like carryover. And I imagine too, like you don't absolutely have to use their train layout, their suggested train layouts. There's a lot of variety. They look really good. So I mean, if their intention is for us to set it up, even in like tournament play or match play, like as we play the game, like set the table up every time, not just go to a pre-set up table. I mean, that's their intention. I'm down to try it and see how it really plays out and what it feels like. It, I bet you we're all gonna get really good at setting the table up really quickly. Um, Especially like if you play the same detachment a lot, you're gonna have the same primaries most of the time, unless you're like playing a 2-pointer, then you have the other your auxiliary detachment or whatever your 1-point detachment that gives you hopefully another disposition. so you can play between the two. Otherwise, I imagine people will focus on one because it's a lot to learn with that. But I do like terrain, like all the tables that they've presented or the layouts they presented. It seems way easier to move monsters and vehicles around, which is a huge, huge deal. I play a lot of monsters. I It can be a pain to move around the table sometimes. How ruins work and everything's ruins. And now it's like, oh, that's light terrain. I just go right through it. Oh, that's heavy terrain. I gotta go around it. But I can toe into terrain feature or terrain areas now and see. And that's a big thing for monsters as well. So really looking forward to it. And the way that the terrain features or stuff on the area terrain look good to like help kind of cover your guys in general. I know like even though infantry, if they're fully in it, they're gonna get the benefits of cover. So I think things like my Raveners will do a lot better in this edition once like they charge into an area, and then they're always gonna have like -1 to hit, so the plus the cover. So I mean they only have 5 save anyways. I think I'd rather people not hit me as well because they're usually bypassing my armor. So it kind of is what it is. um, I'm trying to think. I don't think like I said, we'll see with terrain. Like we gotta play a lot of this stuff still and play it for like a little while. Make a decision on it, what we like and don't like about it. But so they can change the terrain layouts throughout the life of this edition. I mean, I know they already have 45 of them, but they could shuffle them up. I feel like I don't, you know, I don't think these matchups need these exact specific terrains to function properly. I feel like some of them are interchangeable, so they could even just do that to like just switch up what everyone's playing on periodically, or as they roll out new mission decks or whatever. It They have the realm of possibility here. But I do most of the rule changes I like so far. I know at first people are like, "Oh my god, Melee's gonna be insane." Melee does feel like it's gonna be a little better with the engagement rules. The downside, though, you're technically rolling a slightly further charge because you don't have to get under an inch now. You have to get within base to base, or have to be able to get to base with a charge target, not under the inch, which makes the difference. Especially when you're playing sub assault, you no longer have a 6-inch charge; you have a 7-inch charge when you come out of a tunnel, which I already fail a lot of 6-inch charges, so. And sub assault being a 3D point attachment right now kind of steers me away from wanting to try it anyways, but I kind of want to try stuff I haven't really used in 10th edition because it wasn't strong because I can add the other detachments with it. I'm looking forward to the change of the psychic. I'm not looking forward to the point hikes on Maliceptors that I feel are coming because of their article today. Same with Zoanthropes. Although Zoanthropes can hit on 2s and have a lot of different detachments where you can give them reroll, or a lot of different ways I can give them reroll 1s to hit. And basically, so they reroll everything to hit. And the Mirror Tyrant probably going to get a point hike too because he costs a global negative to a battle shock check for army rule. I'm curious if they change the armor rule at all, honestly. Maybe not to our codex. Maybe they'll reword it a little bit, but we'll see. Oh, yeah, the other big one, mission structure changing, where missions are essentially asymmetrical. I've done 5 videos talking about all the different mission matchups that you get with all the different dispositions, or just talking about like what the actual matchup is and looking at the train layouts. You should check that out. It's 2.5 hours of me just talking about missions, and there is a bit of repetition because I do it. Each video is the perspective of that playing as that disposition, so what I'm playing against. So I go over both sides each time. So, but I have them. Those, what is it? 25. It's not quite 25 missions, but yeah, I guess that would be it. Yeah, I've read through most of them. That's a big thing too. So like for I think too the game's gonna be a lot better for casual play. Like there's I think enough that we can change in it with all the different train layouts that present because you don't necessarily stick to all those layouts for especially for casual play or just do your own table layouts with your train that you have. And then you can like change up your your dispositions, depending on the attachment you're running quite a bit. You can switch your attachments a lot and give yourself just like a tremendous amount of options for casual play. And I think that'll be great because you can change up just enough to add a little bit of variety, add a little spice to it. Especially 3,000 points. Oh my gosh, I think 3,000 points is going to be the best for casual play if you have a bigger collection. Because I think you're going to get 4 detachment points then. I'd assume so at least. Because that's kind of how it was 2 to 3, then usually it goes the plus 1 more when you go to 3K. It'd be really cool to run 2 2-point attachments together or a 3 and a 1 point. Or run like 4 1 points if you have the option for it, Space Marines. But yeah, it'd just be really cool. You could do some really weird and unique, interesting things at 3,000 points just for fun, you know? I can imagine anyone being like, yeah, let's run 3,000 point tournaments. I don't think that would go over so well. But like for casual play, I think it'd be cool without getting like into apocalypse size. I have enough Tyranids for it for sure here. And I know a lot of people locally here have like a like 3,000 points or so for their armies, so there's people to do it with here, right? Um, Although for competitive play, I think there's the potential for more depth because you have your 5 primary missions, including your mirror match one, and then you have 4 other missions that are played against you. Well, 5 including your mirror match one. So you need to have an understanding of what your opponent's doing against you, and you need to understand what you're doing. And there's also, what, 15 train layouts you could potentially play on in a tournament, like if they stick with the GW stuff. You get 3 per mission matchup. So that's a fair bit of variety, I feel like, because the primaries were like a couple of the different deployment zones only last time, and certain terrain layouts as well, like certain combinations, and this just kind of gives you a bit more variety, I feel like. Even though it's only 5 primaries, I feel like we only played like maybe 6 or 7 primaries in tournaments for the most part. Anyways, so plus it's your opponent's playing something different than you, and that adds a little bit extra layer to it. So I feel like it's a bit to know, and plus like the different detachment matchups now, and the combinations, and the different way people are going to build their armies to play into these new primaries. It's going to add a lot to competitive play potentially. Unless, we all start finding some stupid ways to break the system, and then, GW has to go freaking fix stuff right away. But they've had to do that. Um, but they have the way they do it digitally now. They're really set up for it better than they were before. It seems like the changes from the app should be pretty good. It feels like so. We'll see. We will judge it on Wednesday when it rolls out. I use it a lot. I know some people absolutely hate it. I like the GW app. I don't understand the hate it gets. My only major complaint about it is it doesn't have a dark mode. It needs that. That's all. Like, I think it's laid out fine. It's presented fine. I think a lot of people don't use the bunker feature, which I just wish sorted things by characters and then your battle line and then others and dedicate transports. Like it shows like when you build your list. But that's a different complaint. Maybe they'll change that. But it's gonna keep track of your. They're gonna have the feature in where you can see your opponent's stuff, which is gonna be interesting. So they're definitely really encouraging you to use the app more, I feel like. Which is fine for me. I already do use it, so but it'd be nice to while your opponent's going and you're kind of plotting out your turn while you're listening to them do their turn, like looking through their list and being like, okay, this does this, without having to ask your opponent all the time. And just let them focus on what they're doing. Just ask them when you need to. Um, so this should be sweet. Back in the day we didn't have that kind of stuff. I played 4th and the 5th edition, and then 5th and the 6th edition. And It was crazy. One, I remember paying like 80 bucks for a rule book, for like the 6th edition rule book, which is, thinking about it in hindsight, is one of the shortest lived editions. That edition was, well, that was one of those times where the kind of really started that trend of the rule book was really wrong after a very short time, and it was really expensive because they had to errata and FAQ a lot of stuff in that thing because there was some like really broken wound allocation you could do. Flyers were broken, but that's also back when the marketing team helped design rules. So they wanted you to buy 6 of everything back then, which is why Flying Circus was a thing. I think it's why Leaf Blower was a thing. We don't have that nowadays. We kind of do, but like not like that. Like we get Satan spam and it's been broken for 3 to 6 months here and there, but other than that, I don't think we have like the absurdities we had before. Because back then too, like sixth edition was like kind of the exception where they did like an emergency FAQ on sixth edition, like in the first like month or two. Like it was really quick because there was some really busted stuff in it. Maybe it was 9 pages. Seems like it was a long time ago. That was before like I moved and everything, and then I ended up getting out of the game in sixth edition because I did not like that edition. I was going through stuff in life. It's like all right, but but back then, oftentimes like the new edition rolled out, your point values didn't change. You had to wait for your codex to come out. Like they didn't update your stuff on the internet and give you a thing. It was like fantasy where they had something like Ravening Hordes or like the General's Handbook, which sometimes would update stuff and give you erratas. And man, even way back in the day, they had things like in those where you could like cut out parts of the rules or whatever and like glue them or tape them into your actual rulebook to update it. Yeah, y'all don't know about that, I think, nowadays. So like, the fact that Wednesday our points update, we get some rules changes or update the rest of our rules changes or whatever, our detachment keywords, but our characters can join. Um, and the rest of our stuff without having to wait for a codex is kind of really nice. Um, Granted, sometimes I guess when it went from ninth to 10th edition, some armies were stuck with their index codex or their index entry for a long time, and some still are. But it's not majority of the armies. It's not Dark Eldar sitting with a codex that's um yeah, that's 3 editions old before it gets another one, or maybe even older. So we don't get that issue now like we used to. Things get some love and attention, sometimes not a lot. Sometimes it's not really love. It's just they're trying to slap a band-aid on it, but sometimes the band-aid misses and it gets a little infection and they really need to redeem themselves with some factions like Grey Knights, Drukari. But but overall, I'm really excited for the edition. I think it's gonna be great. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to the Wild West era of the first few months, especially playing in a GT a month after the edition drops, so we can see all the weirdness and the absurdities that are going on with that here. So it'll be fantastic. But I'm gonna wrap up here. It is pretty late. And I mean, they'll start recording this at almost 1 in the morning, but I work a double tomorrow. And I figured I want to record tomorrow. Now I wanted to record this before Wednesday, because hopefully Wednesday, or maybe even Thursday, once I have more time to go through it, I will do a little video and we'll talk about the point changes for Tyranids and my thoughts and what I might run for an army here for AGT in a very short span of time. But y'all have a good one. Take care. Thanks for hearing me ramble. Go make some coffee, and I'll see you soon.